Hello and welcome to Life Talks with Christoph. This is the third installment of talking about Nicodemus, who was a religious leader of Israel, a Pharisee, a rabbi, a teacher of Israel. And in our first two episodes, we talked about Nicodemus moving off of that religious foundation that he had, relying on his own works of righteousness, his own ability to follow the law, to now slowly believing into this man called Jesus, believing in the fact that he is the Son of God. The first time he visited Jesus at night secretly. The second time we see him in John chapter 7, he begins to make a little bit of a defense, not based on who Jesus is, but based on the requirements of the law. And he said, shouldn't we hear from this condemned man before we actually condemn him? In this last part where we see Nicodemus, it's in John chapter 19, and Jesus has been crucified on the cross, and he's now dead. And it says, later Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Now Joseph was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly because he feared the Jews. And with Pilate's permission, he came and took the body away. And get this in verse 39. He was accompanied by Nicodemus, the man who earlier had visited Jesus at night. So we're seeing the story come full circle now. At the very first interaction Nicodemus had with Jesus, it was in secret, done at night. He was afraid to put his reputation on the line. But here at the very end, Nicodemus has gone from being a secretive admirer of Jesus to, in John chapter 7, being someone who's willing to put his neck a little bit out on the line for Jesus. And now here in John chapter 19, he's saying, I don't care who knows. I don't care who sees. I'm going to honor this man that I've come to follow, this Jesus. He was accompanied by Nicodemus, the man who earlier had visited Jesus at night. Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds. And taking Jesus' body, the two of them wrapped it with the spices in strips of linen. This was in accordance with Jewish burial customs. And at the place where Jesus was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had ever been laid, because it was the Jewish day of preparation, and since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there. So again we see Nicodemus saying, again, understand this, all the focus, all the anger, all of the rage of the Pharisees was focused upon the crucifixion. Jesus had been killed at their urgence. It was the Roman cross that he was crucified upon, and it was underneath the Roman law that this was done, but it was at the urgence of the Pharisees. So their anger is being poured out and vented upon Jesus. He's crucified, and while all the attention of Israel is on the crucifixion of Christ, there stands Joseph of Arimathea and also Nicodemus, both of whom had followed Jesus in secret, behind closed doors, because of their fear of the Jews. And yet at the very end they say, it doesn't matter. We believe that Jesus is the Son of God. We're willing to put our reputations on the line. We're willing to publicly proclaim this Jesus whom you crucified is the Christ. And so there you see the transformation from Nicodemus, a religious leader, realizing none of my religion is going to make my heart right. What I need is a supernatural transformation of my heart. And that can only take place through faith and trust in God's only Son, Jesus Christ, whom He sent to die for the sins of the world. God the Father accepted the life of His Son Jesus in place of our own. Jesus paid our debt with His life so that we could enter into the kingdom of God, enter in without spot or blemish into the very throne room of God. Nicodemus came to that point in his life where he said, it's more important for me to proclaim Christ than to be concerned about my reputation, my standing with my fellow Pharisees. And I want to encourage you, friend, to get to that place in your life where you're encouraged and filled with the Spirit of God with boldness that can only come from Him, to realize my reputation doesn't matter. It's about Jesus. So I want to encourage you, be that person who stands up for Jesus. Move off of religion, off of cultural norms, and say, I'm putting my reputation on the line. I'm a believer in Jesus. I hope this message has been encouraging to you. Listen to us next time and we'll delve deeper into the great things that God has in store for you. I want to encourage you, put your reputation on the line for Jesus. You won't regret it. There's no better life than following after Jesus and being exposed to the kingdom of God. So until next time, be blessed, be filled with His Spirit, and I know that God is going to do great things in and through you. This has been Life Talks with Christoph. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.